Alright everybody, it's our Clow here, and this video is in no way intended to be disrespectful or exploitative of Anthony Kiedis in any way. I really do wish him only the best in his recovery from what is now diagnosed as complications from the intestinal flu. But I do want to talk about how I think it is very peculiar that yesterday, May 14th, when he and his band, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, were set to headline at the Croc Weenie Festival. Moments before going on, he had to be rushed to the hospital. The early articles said, stomach pains, and obviously now upgraded to complications from intestinal flu. And I'm going to show you some of those earlier articles later as well, but I want to talk to you about why I think that is so significant. And to baseline here, as a number of you know, I put out a set of videos, but starting a couple of weeks ago, talking about connections between Beyonce, her world formation tour, and the Kennedy assassination, and what I feel to be various encrypted clues indicating an impending, similar, high-profile assassination of a very well-loved public figure. And so in those videos, I outline a number of dates for you, and I'm going to talk about a few of them throughout today as well. But to start with, May 14th was one of the days that I was really highlighting because Beyonce was to play the Rose Bowl Stadium that day, which has very strong, I feel, symbolic and ritualistic connections with this bigger plan here. And so again, be sure to check out those videos for more information on that. But so again, very interesting that on that same day, elsewhere in California, Kiedis has to be taken from the stage and hospitalized right before performing here. And so you have to wonder, was he set up to take a hit there and bailed on it before it could happen to him, or any other number of things there? And so I want to start this for you here. So notice this is from CNN, and I was having difficulties with them kind of as always, but notice that the image is supposed to be of Anthony Kiedis on stage and on February 6th of 2016, and so very peculiar to me because that is the same exact date that formation was released. And so I'm going to talk a lot more about that article and Kiedis and the Chili Peppers as we go here, but let's baseline with Anthony Kiedis. You see the A and the K giving us the 111, again immensely important. You see on the right side of your screen the simple value for it there is the same as formation. Important, important, important. It comes up again and again. Alright, and so do notice here the number of letters in Kiedis' name is 13. The death card, he was born November 1st. Again, that 111 coming from that there. Here's all that baseline information for Kiedis, but the year reducing down to 9, so you have that 111 times 9, giving us the 999, again immensely important. I'll elaborate it on on that more later, but you do as well see his current age is 53. Now take a look for his actual coding here. His Jewish value 766. You see shady intelligence as well as the magnificent 888. Now I'm going to talk more about Irvine Meadows Amphitheater later, but do notice the address is 8808. Alright, dropping that 0, you definitely have a very clear 888 there. Again, very interesting at the very least, and that is right the location of the show that they were supposed to be headlining that night. And so now keep looking here because you do see reference to the conspirators, and I want you to notice the English and simple values here. I'll pull up some of the media for you because I've talked about it a lot in the past, and just very quickly, Kiss's Love Gun pops up, and do take note the 11 women down here referential towards the 11th tarot card, lust, Babylon, all of the connections. We've talked about that and its relation to the clip-off as well. But do notice then the 4 members of KISS standing here, referential then towards the Emperor tarot card. That would be government, restriction, right? All of the things that keep us really oppressed, division, all of that. And you do see the very profound symbolism of the sun and the 2 pillars, the portals, all of that behind them there. Again, the 11 women, the 4 members added together, we get 15, the tarot card of the devil. Okay, so now all very, very interesting stuff. And do notice, so This is all for Anthony Kiedis still. His English and simple values are the same as Earth Space Defense. This really weird commercial slash PSA campaign the Army is doing in conjunction with a new Independence Day movie being released. And be sure to, again, go check out those videos I've done on that. It is also the same as 38 East, the inversion of this street sign from the trailer for Erykah Badu's upcoming movie The Land, which is set to come out on the 29th of July. Very important day, but that trailer was released the same day as this one, and we did talk about it extensively, so again, be sure to watch that video. Same trailer, you do see the inverted 35 from the speed limit sign there, giving you a nice 53. So all of these connections, very interesting to say the least there. I'll talk more about Ricky Smiley later on, but do notice down here you have reference towards the Antichrist, as well as Queen of Babylon, Lord of the Flies. You see the Law of Thelema, and I Am the Great Beast. So now, as you saw on his wiki page, one of his nicknames kind of obviously is Tony, short for Anthony, but it's interesting to me because that was the little boy's imaginary friend in the movie The Shining. Okay, very interesting there, and I had definitely done a lot of work on that on the old channel. So do notice the different reductions here. I just do want to point out the English and simple values here, pulling up as the 444. Again, immensely important, definitely comes up with the coding for Order of Thelema, but I do want you to see, because we were talking about this yesterday, it is also the same as Susan, and so that is who puts out all of the posts on the official Erykah Badu website. This is Ricky Smiley, who is also the same coding as Kiedis, who's going to be hosting her show at Verizon Arena June 11th. Again, 6 times 11, that's 66 there, and again, immensely connected to Skull and Bones, even their master number 322, 3 times 22, giving us that 66. So all immensely important to take into consideration. And again, Susan, an anagram for as sun, all of this coming down to sun worship. Now, look at all of the profound religious characters throughout here: Jesus, Lucifer, Muhammad. You do have reference to Messiah, as well as Masonic, occult, the key. Okay, all of these very profound: killing, nuclear, code of God, so on. Now, let's get looking more into the actual location here, because we've got a lot of ground to cover now. Irvine, California, where that venue is located. Again, the I and C give us a nice 93, that master thelemic number. It's a total of 16 letters. Again, very important, the Tower Tarot card, and this is the year 2016, obviously the 16th year into the new millennium here, and so referential then towards that card in that way. Again, so look at all of these reductions here. You do see reference to the death of love and the rosy cross. Again, immensely important symbolism next to Illuminati celebrity. Now, notice down below here the English and simple values, same as Erica Abbey Wright. Now, this is very important because her window seat music video in which she is assassinated in Dealey Plaza will come up a lot today, so it's important that we see her full name coming out there as well. Now, notice it's also the same as the written out formula for Tetragrammaton. Again, immensely important. I've talked about this all in previous videos, so I'm going to have to rush over some things that I usually go into pretty extensively, but you do see here United Nations, divide and conquer, as well as 729. Okay, and again, that's immensely important because that is not only the date that Badu's movie The Land is going to be coming out, but that is also the day that Beyonce is going to be playing at Commerzbank Arena in Frankfurt, Germany. Again, I've looked a lot into that for you, so be sure to check out those videos on that. Let me see if I'll just get a slight little bit for you. There you go. All right, some information on the right for you there. But so again, that 729 coming up, immensely important. And again, May's earthquake, everything I've talked about with that. So now, do notice here for crock weenie roast, all right, the way I'm spelling that out there is because that's how it comes up when you're actually looking into the information for it. Again, notice the date, all of that. Have the same English and simple values as the intestinal flu. And again, thinking back to the CNN article that I showed you, that is absolutely what the upgraded story is now. That is complications from the intestinal flu that caused Kiedis to have to leave. Now, do notice here, you also see reference to the 777, California earthquake, Donald Trump, first-degree murder and blood, sugar, sex, magic. Now, very important because we're going to talk about the song Under the Bridge from that album later. Again, UTB is 322, that Skull and Bones number coming up again. And yes, I know that the album is spelled with a K, but it's still very important that it comes up even as this full-fledged right here in the coding for the Weenie Roast. Alright, so do notice down below one of the ways that you could vary that is adding the word the in front of it. And I do just want to note the importance of that, because that 1368 and 228 down at the bottom there is part of the hidden coding that I found for Beyonce Knowles Carter. And again, if you go back and watch that video, I show you how it's really weird how they had double coded the page, and they actually went back and changed it since that having come out. So be sure to go and watch the video and see that. But you do see the references to United States of America, Creator and Destroyer, the Key of the Rituals, as well as FEMA concentration camps. Alright, so now let's take a look here at Irvine Meadows Amphitheater. Remember that address of 8808, and Kiedis is coding with the magnificent 888. Very interesting. But notice his English and simple values there are the same as window seat re-examinations. Our second big piece from Badu, or actually that's our third now with the land trailer included, but the second reference there with window seat for sure. But do remember that that is the remix in which they play the video backwards. And again, Erykah Badu openly occult and all of the things that she does, so definitely conveying a lot with that. But do notice the coding there, the number of the Antichrist, as well as ancient order of Bavarian seers. You do see bloodlines of the Illuminati, as well as rising of the Holy Phoenix and divine earthquake in California. Okay, so now let's jump back to the CNN article for just a minute here. Andreas Preyas, one of the writers, Preyus, however you want to, or however that is pronounced there. Do notice here his Jewish value is out of the blue, is definitely what this event was. Very out of the blue. You do see reference to 13.6, which is actually the simple value for civil rights. Very interesting. If you type in 136, pop it up for you in just a second there, so you have all of that. But again, very, very interesting to say the least. Jumping back over here, though, you do have reference to stealing people's life force. Now, I want you to see his English and simple values are the same as Susanna Jones, as well as Commerce Bank Arena. And so, again, immensely important. I was talking about the death of Susanna Jones, as you can see here, died age 116. Again, 11 times 6, that's 66, and 311 days old. This was back on, I believe, just the 13th, just a couple of days ago here, but in conjunction with all those crane operator threats I was talking about with Beyonce. But so again, do see the coding for that, and remember Commerce Bank Arena is what I was saying earlier, where Beyonce would be playing. And so you can see this here on the date, July 29th, and again you can see this, it's 3 months, 3 days into her tour. Very, very interesting stuff. Alright, but so again with the coding, subconscious messages revealed, as well as satanic rulers, devil worship, Luciferian Mason, and mystical arts. Okay, and so going down here, just looking at the coding for intestinal flu without the in front of it, like I showed you for the connection there earlier, you can see the different values here. And so I do want to keep moving here though, and take a look at let's go back to this CNN article here for a minute. And just take a look at these bizarre times on here. Alright, so notice the 10:55 p.m. and if we're just connecting this back with all of the 729 stuff, alright, do note that 729 is the 211th day of the year with 155 days remaining. Alright, so it's always interesting to see that, and again, since I've shown you 729 so intimately connected here, it's very interesting that that comes up. But do see as well that the drummer sends something out at 11:09. Again, the immense 99 connections I've shown you for Lemonade, as well as the Formation World Tour releases. And you do see this last tweet here coming from the article at 10:30, again dropping those zeros. You have that nice 13 death card. But again, the original article here before updated, the station tweeted that it was due to illness that he was taken out there. So do notice here the Jewish values for that, 633, 33 times 6 does give us that 198. Again, a number that I've been talking about immensely through all this. This even connects towards that crane operator bit from yesterday, and notice it is also the same simple value of Frankfurt, Germany. Okay, and then the coding for 198 definitely goes far beyond that, so be sure to look into the previous videos as always, so you can get a really good breadth of all of that information there. So check this out. You do see he is in the hoax, as well as the death of the Messiah. Remember, we saw that come up earlier as well. And so notice here the English and simple values, 930, again that 93 master thelemic number, and 155, again the time of that tweet, 1055, dropping that 0 out. But very interesting. All right, you do see the Great Babylon, as well as very deceitful, mega electricity, as well as head mind control and authoritarian. Okay, so now let's take a look here at the TMZ article just very quickly. I've got a few bits to pull up for you here because I do like to pick on them. As you did see, TMZ staff, who gets the writing credit for these, does have that 666, 111 value for it there, and so definitely worth taking a look at. And so now if you take a look here for TMZ, they noted that word is Anthony was having stomach issues, all right, and so very interesting stomach issues. The 19 from the S there, we could reduce it down to a 1, and the I gives us a 9. We get that 19. Sun card, sun worship. Do notice that stomach issues is the same Jewish value as Anthony Kiedis, all right, so that's twice now we've shown you the stomach thing connected to all of this here. But so again, notice the connection to Magnificent AAA, conspirators, manifestation of Babylon, satanic philosophies, all right, all of that. So notice down below here, the English and simple values for that are the same as sunset sound, all right. That's absolutely interesting. That was what Prince's Purple Rain was released on, and I showed you all the 111 coding for that, and the phenomenal connections to When Doves Cry and the death of Prince as well. Okay, so now take a look here, the Great Architect, the number 7, as well as Stanley Kubrick. You do see reference to Hurricane Katrina. Again, what I would take as a formation reference. Remember, she is in New Orleans. You also see Order of the Rose and Just Wait and See. And again, be sure to familiarize yourself with the Rosicrucian order. The symbolism of the rose is definitely very deep and complex and worth you familiarizing yourself with. So now let's jump into, now that we've got that kind of all out of the way for a second here. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Kiedis here. Hopefully they pull him out and don't take him as the sacrifice. I do think it was interesting that, again, that he, just the night that I had pointed out in connection with a potential assassination, he bails on performing at the last minute. It's like he was, like he knew it was coming and wanted to get. In any case, let me keep moving here. It's just something to think about. Notice that just a few days ago, a new single off of their latest album that's going to be coming out here, Dark Necessities, debuted on May 5th. Okay, so very interesting there, because May, the 5th month, on the 5th, and then Kiedis is then hospitalized on the 14th. Right, so 1 and 4 is 5 again in the 5th month of May, so you have those double 5s. So remember those. We'll come back and touch on that in a bit here, but do notice the Getaway is their 11th studio album. Again, the immense connections to the Lust card, Babylon, so on. Notice the length of the album is 66 minutes and 42 seconds. 4 and 2 is 6, all right, and so you have a nice 666 from that length there, or you could do this 6 times 6 to give us 36. Again, immensely important number, but then you have 366 when they're all lined up. And so remember, that is the value for formation. That is also the same number of days in a leap year. Okay, so all very, very interesting stuff. So take a look here at the Getaway, the name of the album. Again, you do have that reference to the number 27 there, and let me catch up on my slides here. Remember, I'm always talking about The Simpsons mocking you, and especially with that number, but do see here sun worship, divine consciousness, as well as accidental discovery, religious government, and inverted pyramid. Remember, that is the water sign, the sign of the age of Aquarius. Aquarius. Now, take a look down here. The English and simple values, the same as the no symbol or the interdictory circle is another way of referring to that, but very important because that is what is found on the tops of some of the Masonic symbols here, and I've definitely looked into the significance of that quite a bit, so be sure to familiarize yourself with that. But you do see then Freemasons as well as Comet Elenin, the Last Day, the Evil One, Rest in Peace, Bloodwork, and Twitter, again referential towards those numbers that we were looking at earlier with that. Now let's take a look here, because interesting piece from this is that this is going to be the album where Danger Mouse DM44 is replacing Rick Rubin, right? RR99, or 18 and 18 is 36. So very interesting. But do notice Rubin was doing this for 25 years for them and 6 albums. And so obviously the breakdown of that there, you see the 6 and 7 is 13, right? Because the 2 and 5 becomes 7 if we added the 6 albums. Even it's at 13, that death card there, very important. But do notice here for Rick Rubin, again, all of those breakdowns, and his Jewish value is the same as Plan 9 Records. And again, something I've talked about immensely with all of this, but the Kennedy assassination connection with that EP and the lyrics throughout, so on and so forth. Huge connections to Beyonce and Sade as well. But there you do see again nuclear bomb as well as Great Lightning, Lone Gunman, Bunch of Lies, and Knight of Discs. All right, and the Knight of Discs is a pretty interesting card here. I think I've actually got a little screenshot for you. And there's a lot that I could say on it, but just know that it is associated with some of the phenomena of such as mountains, earthquakes, and gravitation. So very interesting to have that pull up here in a card where Rubin is shifting away from this band, and you have it referencing these ideas of earthquakes and gravitation. All right, so now do notice here the English and simple values are the same as days later, and that Jewish value is the same as TMZ, so very interesting. But do remember, since we're talking so much about these connections to the Erykah Badu music videos, Days Later is absolutely what appears in the beginning of the Rick Ross Window Seat remix, in which Badu's essentially been reincarnated, and then they go on a killing spree later on. So do notice down here though, you do see the English and simple values are 9/11 as well as Sudden Death, Lightbearer, The World, Masonry, Cliffoth, and Vitriol. Again, very, very important. This is related to the art card, which you did see some of the coding for up above, but having to do with the idea of going to the inner earth to find the universal solvent, and that only by the leading of true will can we be led properly into the new eon. And so very interesting that we see that coming up so often there. And now let's take a look here so we can get through the rest of this. Danger Mouse, the new producer for this, again, that 44. He's got 11 letters in his name, all right, so there's all of that right in there. But do notice that you have reference to Comet Elenin is real and Bad California Quake. So now his English and simple values is interesting to me because the same as the word, the number 53 spelled out, which again, that's Anthony Kiedis' current age, and again, you do see reference to Hermeticism and unnatural. So now take a look here. As I pointed out earlier, this was released May 5th, the single Dark Necessity, that 5/5 we get from that. So notice all the breakdowns I've got for you there. I want you to see that the English and simple values for this are the same as When Doves Cry, and again, all of the information I showed you with that for the Prince album, and again, just it being a very high-ranking song of his and having the same duration as the same value of the city that he was found dead in. And so a whole bunch of really interesting connections there that are definitely worth considering. But notice as well, speed limit 8, and that's thinking back to the Land trailer where I showed you that inverted sign that they had there for 35, and again 5 and 3 is 8, and so looking into that idea, but you do see then that that connection pops up, so very interesting. You see Do Not Fear the 11, John D. Rockefeller, as well as Planet Saturn, very important. You see Masonic Grand Lodge, Seal of Solomon, terrorists, super volcano, secrets revealed, and formed from evil. Alright, I want you to note that this track, Dark Necessities, is 5 minutes 2 seconds long, and if we drop that 0, we get 52, which is referential towards the devil, and is also the inversion of the numbers of years that Rick Rubin was producing for the Chili Peppers. So very interesting there, but you do then see again Seal of Solomon, great architect, Antichrist code. You see he murders. You see the biblical Lucifer, as well as the secret degree, the purge, the Death Star, and satanic bigots. Alright, so now I want to finish out this video talking about their song Under the Bridge here, and some weird connections. And again, if you're familiar with my old channel, you know I went after Watch Mojo quite a bit as a very massively influential propaganda machine. But so do notice there that they have it listed as the #1 Red Hot Chili Peppers song, and there's a lot of stuff for this. And so notice the length of the song is 424, and I want to bring that up because that number came written out when we were looking into the crane operator for the Beyonce threats. And again, remember all the information with the 36, but his name there, the ALZ21CCO, okay, you see that right there, and it has that same 424, okay, and that's the length of Under the Bridge. And so that's the baseline connection there for you to show you all of that. But do notice here the Jewish value 16. Alright, again, like I was saying, 2016 is obviously the 16th year of the new millennium. And then you see planned disaster, alien stargates, and again, thinking about all of those very bizarre archways going up all over the world. Now you see here reference to see accomplished, as well as ancient god of forces. Now look down below, the English and simples are the same as the babushka lady. Okay, again, the only people to come forward from the whole Kennedy assassination, and you know all the connections that you can glean from her. But do notice TBL is 223, alright, just like all of those 223s or 322s I've showed you. And so you see now reference to the killing name, as well as Satan and Moloch, as well as evil nations, and C, mark of beast. Alright, now remember, mark of beast is absolutely in that 111, 666 coding. Alright, and so do you see that that's right there? That's where we started with all this, and so it definitely seems like there's some connection there, right? And so see below here, because it said see accomplishment, so here's the word accomplishment, and you do have reference to angel of darkness, as well as the son of fire, nuclear fire, tree of life and death, and the satanic dogma. Alright, all very profound. Notice down below, man bearing water, Illuminatus, love is the law. Again, this is from Thelema there. You see again the rosy cross, building a world very messy, as well as the fall of mankind. Now, jumping back into the images from this here, and again, this is just popping from this Watch Mojo video, because again they're like cliff notes to, to all of this sadistic stuff. But notice the shirt that Kiedis is wearing here clearly says to hell and back. And so if we take a look here, notice the Jewish value for to hell and back is the same as Cootie Rock, and that was the director for the Window Seat music video. Again, where Badu is assassinated in Dealey Plaza, the words groupthink spilling out of her head there. Do you remember? I mean, please go back and watch those videos. They're very fascinating. I'll pull up the groupthink for you because it is another 5-5, and you do see all of the other connections that it has there. And again, coming up, Freemasonry. It's the same as all those other things. Alright, so fascinating stuff. But so back to the left over here for To Hell and Back. Do notice that 264 is the same simple value for 5 words he didn't even mean, and I got hot sauce in my bag swag. Alright, and then you do see it comes up in the full moon coding for the end of the month here, the full flower moon. So again, look at all these numbers here. This all connects back to previous videos. I really don't have time to cover it right now, but again, you can see Cootie Rock coming up there, so on and so forth, the immense importance of all those numbers. Alright, so now down below the English and simple values, you do see reference to 55. Alright, very important, because that's a number I emphasize to you all the time, just like from Enthroned Washington, that 5-5 to Erica Wright. Okay, all of those. And so you then see the Eye of Ra, pure evil. Look at this, Dealey Plaza, alright, in the same set of coding as Cootie Rock, who directed a video where a artist was assassinated in Dealey Plaza. It's unreal. It's unreal how those connections go together there, alright? So now in any case, going back through here, this is the end of the Under the Bridge video, and then they've got this weird nuclear bomb going off in the background. And so what I was thinking of with all of this was just the idea of the Bay Bridge troll. And so this is my last little bit for today here. So just notice all this information. He now resides at Pier E2. Alright, that would be 7 and then 5 and 2. Again, all the 52 connections we looked at earlier today, but it gives us another 7, so you have that 7, 7 there. Again, immense importance that I've shown you over the last number of videos. But so, jumping back here to the Bay Bridge troll, I want you to see that its Jewish value of 780 is very important. And do remember that is the same English value as Purple Rain, as well as Minute Brew, the commercial airing directly after Kennedy's assassination was told to the nation. Alright, so again, do look through all of that. I've talked about it quite a bit, but do notice for Bay Bridge troll, alright, the English and simple values, you do have reference to David Rockefeller as well as Queen Elizabeth, and then the number 555, alright, and then so also very interesting, since that Jewish value up there is the same as Purple Rain, it is very interesting that the 555 is the actual value for it there. And do remember all of the information I've talked to you about that number. It is absolutely of immense importance. Okay, and then so notice as well, you see reference to that 396 there. Take a look at this. It is from, you get it as the simple value for there is the dove and there is the serpent. Again, this is in Crowley discussing the differences between love and love. Alright, so very profound stuff, but you do see reference to the 33rd degree of Freemasonry, as well as another government false flag operation, desires to dominate and control others, and then down towards the bottom, reverence, or worship of Satan as a deity. Okay, so all very important how those are connected in there. Again, the word abrahadabra signifying the completion of the great work. You do see biotechnology, hairbringer of doom, spirit of death, and CNN News, all very profound. I do want you to notice here that Rigging International is the contractor that made the troll. And so again, just notice that RR, that 99 that we get from that there, number 20 letters, again the Aeon card, and that's very important because you see here this 654 for the Jewish value, that is the same English value as join the ESD. And so if I were to pull all of that coding for you up here again, I can show you right up here John Adams, right, and that's the guy's badge that you see in the clip that I showed you earlier. His coding there does have the XX in it, alright, and so that's very important. This is the John Adams image from that space defense commercial for you there about joining the ESD. But so that XX is very important there, and again that we have Rigging International being 20 letters and referential towards the Aeon card, alright, because it is marked as XX, and so definitely something to consider there. But do notice its connections with Rose Bowl, Bring Me Home, again from Sade, Lateralis, and EMI Records. Alright, tremendous stuff there. Now you do see HAARP, Piercing USA, as well as Santa as Lucifer. Again, very important. The left eye, you see Mighty Fire, Toleration of Filth, and the Golden Key. Now, down below here, the very last thing you see, the English and symbols are the same for the human extinction, as well as the synagogue of Satan. Anything is possible, the seal of the living God, underground portal, and secret numeric proof. So, I know that's a lot to take in. It's crazy that we started talking about Anthony Kiedis and how all that connects there, but it definitely does. It's a lot to consider. As I say, I do wish him the best in his recovery here. I do feel he's part of something much, much bigger. And this is all very crucial here, the times that we're in. So very curious to see what happens next. Again, thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time to watch these videos. And please, please be well.